Today I've brought Katy on so we can talk about improving wrists. We get a lot of questions about wrist pain, instability in the wrists, and we're going to discuss how Katy has been able to strengthen her wrists in the last couple of years. She's come a long way in that department, going from originally very infrequently using much of her body at all, being very inflamed with rheumatoid arthritis, but now she's doing back bends and she's hanging from bars and all sorts of wonderful things. So thanks for coming on this episode, Katy, and sharing how we can improve our wrist strength and reliability.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Clint. So I've had rheumatoid arthritis my whole life, and so one of the biggest things that it attacked was my wrists, and so you can see the difference in my two wrists, like in this finger's much shorter than this one. So there's a lot of, and it tends to drop. Like before, like my whole life, it just looks different. And so I've had a lot of limitations my whole life. I can't it doesn't go up very far. But since starting the Bikram yoga and 2 years ago, and then just recently, starting in April, I've really started doing more active stuff on my hands, and which has drastically strengthened my wrist. Like just doing this right here, just holding it like this, was too much for me 7 months ago. It was extremely difficult. So I've been doing a lot of like wrist exercises and just being more active on my hands like throughout the day, and it's really helped improve. So I just was thinking, so I'd like to, if I could demonstrate some of the wrist exercises that I do. So normally one of the things that I do when I first wake up in the morning usually is I just gently go back and forth. So like this, I hold for like 10 seconds, and then I go like this way 10 seconds. And then I just sort of gently twist and just twisting and just going back and forth slowly, then using the thumb and trying to point it towards my, towards here. Then I do that. So I do that with both hands. Of course, this wrist is a little more difficult, but I still try it. I still do it gently. And so that's part of what I do. And then I try and I grab this and I just pull this down, and so it starts to bring circulation down my arm, and I believe that's it's really important, especially for rheumatoid arthritis, to get the circulation going. So that's what I try and do first thing in the morning, because it just helps loosen and get that up, and then. So then I kind of do the same thing, but on all fours. And so I kind of start out here, and you can even just gently rocking back and forth and gently moving this forward on my wrist, and then trying to go back and go this way, which is much more difficult. And then also just going like this, and then gently curling my fingers up, and then doing the same thing this way, and gently curling my fingers up and this way, and curl them up like this, and then going back and finishing it this way. And then, so that's what I do on the floor. And then when I'm done with that, then I do these things. So like I try and keep my arms straight, And the first one is I imagine that I'm grabbing a ball of snow or like a ball of sand. And I try to do this, like, I try 50 times, but sometimes it's not that much. And then the second one is I pretend that I'm flicking, like I'm flicking sweat off me. And I do that. And then the third one is just doing it as fast as I can. So then just like wrist circles are always good. So those are my wrist exercises. And then, but I also, then these also really help is, or maybe this is getting more into your core, I guess. But yeah, this is to prep for handstands. But even right now, I'm just trying to get my wrist flat, this wrist flat. I don't know if you can see it. But yeah, just holding it, just holding as close as your feet can get to your hands with my hands flat, and just pressing into the floor. And I find that the more that I press my right hand into the floor, it activates my elbow, and it actually helps me straighten my elbow the more pressure that I push into my hands. And so, yeah, that's just an easy exercise that you can just hold for like 30 seconds. And it's kind of a bonus because it'll help you get into handstands if that's ever in your future.
Now, a lot of people would be amazed with your ability to get into that final position. Your feet were very close to your hands, so you've obviously got a lot of mobility through your hips and lower back. For example, if I tried to bring my hands and feet as close as what you just had, I would only be touching the floor with my fingertips. I would not be able to put my hands flat on the floor like that. So if people are unable to do that, then they could put their hands down onto maybe a step. They could walk over to the stairs, and at the bottom step they could lean forward for a downward dog style and put their hands down on the bottom or even the second step to be able to get that pressure through the elbows and shoulders and wrists, correct?
Yeah. And then there's also one when you just keep your hands up and you try and keep your hands flat and you lift up and you're sucking your stomach in and contracting your glutes and your legs, and you keep pushing, and you're imagining that the ceiling is the floor. So like you're pushing against the floor.
Yes.
And that's also an exercise.
Okay, great. Now, I can relate to so many of the things that you've described, and what we have in common is a discovery that weak and painful wrists can be improved by being brave, and that it's unlikely that we are ever going to turn around weak and painful wrists by avoiding using them. I think the hanging that you also have adopted, which is just to reach up to an overhead bar at a kid's playground or at the gym, has also been helpful for the wrist. Is that true?
Yeah, my Rolfer suggested that last year. And so I do that at least twice a week. I go up, it's just a park that's like 5 minutes away. And so I started out just doing 10 seconds or 5 seconds, actually, is as long as I could hold it. But I did it like two times or 2 or 3 times. And then that was it. And it's all I could do. But as I kept doing it, of course, it increased to 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 40, 50, 60. Mm-hmm. And now it's at 2 minutes. And I try and stay as still as possible, but there's times when I just have to move my legs a little bit. But it's definitely improved my grip, my strength of my fingers and the gripping the bar. I feel like afterwards, like my spine feels better, like my hips feel more open, even my ankles feel better. Like it's like it just loosens everything up, you know. And even if you're just on there for 10 seconds a day, like, you know, yeah, it's definitely painting's been huge.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love it.
And I like it. It's fun.
Isn't it? It is. It's totally fun.
So by doing all this Bikram yoga since 2 years ago and really recently focusing on strengthening my wrists and my hands, it's definitely improved the strength and the range of motion in my hands. And so I just wanted to show you something that I could not do last year that I can do now. So I'm going to show you my handstand against the wall, which I am currently working on, but progress.